Good afternoon, gardeners. It's Tuesday, July 13th, and it is a scorcher here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. Today, I'm going to show you all how to refresh a garden bed for a fresh planting of crops in only 6 weeks. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive new video notifications, and check out our Amazon storefront and spread shop in the video description for a list of the gardening products I use and awesome custom designed apparel and other gear. Your support is greatly appreciated. Right next to me, I have a raised garden bed that I was growing onions, shallots, and garlic in all throughout the spring. I just finished harvesting all of the crops out of here last week, so now I have an empty garden bed suitable for planting. What I intend to place in here are later season tomatoes that I intend to grow throughout the remainder of the summer and into the fall. However, tomatoes are very heavy feeders. They can't just go into a garden bed that was exhausted by growing other crops in there. So I need to re-nutrify the soil inside this garden bed. Right in front of me, I have a flat that are full of my tomatoes that I'm starting for my fall crop. And I planted the seeds a few days ago, and I'm just starting to see the first few seedlings start to break ground. Now, once tomato seeds germinate, they're ready for transplanting in about 6 weeks. So I have about 6 weeks of time on my hands to re-nutrify and reinvigorate my raised garden bed and make it suitable for planting of these transplants. I've been experimenting for a couple seasons now as to what is the fastest and most efficient way to re-nutrify and rejuvenate your raised garden beds. And this is what I found. 2 years ago, I ran an experiment where I dug a trench in my raised garden bed and I buried all kinds of different kitchen scraps in that trench. And then I covered it up and I checked back 90 days later. And what I found was after 90 days, all of the kitchen scraps that I buried were fully decomposed and composted except for the eggshells. The eggshells required a little bit of a longer time. However, what I determined after running that experiment was it's just too much work to dig up your garden like that, and I really didn't want to disturb all of the native soil microbiology and the worms by constantly digging up my garden. So, last winter I ran a new experiment. What I did was I laid kitchen scraps down on top of my bed, I covered them with compost, and then I placed a tarp over them to help attract the sun and build up heat and speed up the decomposition process. And then 60 days later, I took the tarp off and I was stunned by what I saw. Despite the fact that I did this in the peak of winter when solar intensity is lowest and temperatures are lowest, 60 days was more than enough time for the native soil microbiology to digest and process all of the kitchen scraps. So what I determined was the best and most efficient way to re-nutrify and rejuvenate your garden bed is to cover them with compost and kitchen scraps and other organic fertilizers. Cover them with a tarp to build up the heat and speed up the decomposition process, and in a matter of 60 days or less, you're able to re-nutrify your garden. Now bear in mind, it took me 60 days to do this in the middle of winter. Now we're in the peak of summer when the heat is the highest and the metabolism of the soil microbiology is the fastest. So 6 weeks or 42 days, I'm very confident is more than enough time to fully re-nutrify this garden bed with the assistance of a tarp. I also want to add that the benefit of using this tarp does not just end at the decomposition rate. The other benefit is that because it's going to build up so much heat, it's also going to kill any weed seeds, and it's also going to kill things like pest eggs and other bacteria and fungi that may be harmful and pathogenic. So in a way, it also helps sterilize the soil and clean it out of unnecessary pests and weeds for you as well. So now I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to prepare this garden bed for re-nutrification, so in 42 days I will be able to plant healthy tomato plants. I'm going to use a number of products to re-nutrify my raised garden beds. The first thing I made sure I did was when I pulled the onions, garlic, and shallots all out of my garden bed, I saved all of the tops. So this was the greenery that I couldn't really do anything with. I decided that I'm going to use that as compost. The next thing that I did was I made sure to save my kitchen scraps for the past couple of weeks. I've been collecting coffee grounds, eggshells, cantaloupe rinds, sweet potato peels, all kinds of greenery and stalks and stems that I cut off the various vegetables that I harvested. So I'm going to use those kitchen scraps as a key thing to compost. There's also a lot of banana peels in there, which is one of the best things that you can compost, period. Banana peels and eggshells rule in composting. Next, I'm going to use a product called azomite. Azomite is a micronized rock dust that is rich in nutrient content. It contains tons of trace micronutrients. So I'm going to dust all of my crops with that. Now, if you wanted to, you could also go out and buy something like a granulated 555 organic slow release fertilizer, and you can sprinkle that on top of the garden beds. I'm not going to do that because I think that's a little bit expensive, and I just prefer to bury the fertilizer in the hole when I make my transplants. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that extra expense. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover everything with a compost. Now, I usually use cow manure compost, but I had this organic mushroom compost sitting in my garage, so I'm going to use this to top off the bed. Also, because you need to add some more growing medium back to the beds, because when you rip out all of your crops, there's always some level of soil attached, so you want to be able to add some soil or some other growing medium back into the bed. Now, the first thing that you want to do is, if you have a mulch layer on top of your bed that you use for weed suppression or for maintaining soil moisture, you want to remove that. You don't want to place your kitchen scraps on top of the mulch layer. You want to place them directly onto the growing medium. So I'm going to make sure to pull all of this very finely shredded hardwood mulch that I have off and remove it from the bed completely. Now that the mulch layer has been removed, I leveled the bed so the soil level is all nice and even. Now I'm going to start placing the tops of my garlic, shallots, and onions. And if you have any other garden scraps like leftover cabbage leaves or spinach leaves or any other greenery or anything else that you want to compost, feel free to throw them in now. Now that the old onion, garlic, and shallot tops have been tossed on the bed, we're going to start throwing our kitchen scraps down as well. Now that the kitchen scraps have been placed, we are going to add our azomite mineral dust, and we're just going to liberally sprinkle that on top of the soil. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cover all of our kitchen scraps with the compost. And now we'll place the mulch layer back on top of the bed. And now for the not so secret weapon, the tarp. This is the key to making our decomposition rates closer to that of hot composting than cold composting. This is going to greatly decrease the amount of time it takes for all of the organic fertilizers and kitchen scraps to break down. Now, I'm using a blue tarp because this was cheap and readily available at Lowe's where I purchased it. However, if you can find a black tarp, that is even better. The darker the tarp, the more solar energy it's going to attract. The hotter the raised garden bed is going to get, the better your results. Periodically, it's a good idea to take the tarp off and then hose down the bed to keep everything wet, because high moisture will help accelerate the decomposition process. Now that the tarp is placed, this bed will easily be ready and fully renutrified for my new tomato planting in the 6-week period. So everybody, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, please make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden or that I featured in this video, they're all linked in my Amazon storefront down in the video description. If you're interested in any channel related merch, they're all linked in my spread shop in the video description. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video. Dale's got a new favorite toy. We have to keep it on top of the refrigerator so he doesn't get to it. Dale! Ho ho ho! Ho ho! Hold on, buddy. Whoa! 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 He took it! Oh no, there he goes! Oh, he's doing zoomies! You goof! I'm gonna get it. Oh, oh, it squeaks. It squeaks. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Good boy, Dale. Good boy. Can I see it? Wait. Wait.
Drop it.
Good boy, Dale. Ready? Whoa, 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 whoa. Too overzealous. Ready? Oh, nice catch, buddy. That was fantabulous.